Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2021 Keystone Cougar camper, we're going to be checking out and showing you how to install the Stromberg Carlson aluminum ladder. So many of you, if you're checking out a ladder, you probably already know why you'd want it. Give you a way to get up to the top of your camper and see what's going on up there. With that said, a little surprised these don't just come with one, but hey, I'm sure it's an option. But for those of you that don't have one, there's a solution here. This one's going to bolt up and give you a way up to the top of the roof. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of an OEM-type deal. Nothing really too special about it. Nothing really jumping out at me that I don't like about it. It's a ladder. It is made from aluminum, so it's lightweight, which actually does make it a little bit easier during the installation process and more manageable. It's not going to rust away or anything like that. And it is good for 250 pounds. That's how much weight it can support. And, I was on it earlier. I mean, there's a little bit of give and stuff, but, as long as you're not, jumping up and down on it, I feel like you should be in pretty good shape in terms of having the confidence to climb up to the top. This is the black version here. There's also a plain, just an aluminum finish one as well. So you have a couple options there in terms of, what one's going to match your camper the best. I will say what a lot of people are kind of upset with, and I can definitely see why, is the black version comes with some silver hardware still. And so you're going to have these shackles that are kind of that natural aluminum finish. A lot of the hardware is going to have that chrome or aluminum type finish. And I could see where that would be frustrating. If you spend a little bit more for the black version, you'd expect to get all that. And not going to lie, it does kind of stand out and stick out. So it would be nice to see all that hardware and these shackles black in color. Kind of is what it is. You could always come back with some spray paint and paint them just to help them blend in a little bit more, but honestly, it's one extra step that I think should already be done for you. But with that said, let's just kind of take a better look at the ladder. So the steps here, we're going to walk relatively wide, about the perfect size, at least in my opinion. There's some textured grooves there to, help give you a little bit of traction. And probably one of the things that I'd wonder is, the quality of this product. Is it well made? And I'll say, it's not over-engineered by any means, but it's not a piece of junk either. Everything feels pretty stout. Feels good. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of an OEM-type ladder that you'd see on the back of a camper anyway, right from the dealer. So, is there a few things that could be a little bit better? Sure, but that's with every single product ever, right? You can always make them a little bit better, but, would you be confident putting it on there? Absolutely. I think it looks pretty good and should hold up pretty well. So it's going to come with all the hardware and everything. You need to get it installed. It's not going to come with any type of sealer though. So obviously where you drill in to your camper, you want some type of sealer there, right? So I use what's called butyl tape, but I'd imagine some other type of sealers would be fine too. As long as it keeps everything watertight, you'll be in pretty good shape. And you can find those things right here at eTrailer. So if you don't have any, pick some up, do it the right way. You don't want any issues in the future with leaks or anything along those lines. Other than that though, it's pretty straightforward. It's a ladder, right? As long as it looks good and does what it needs to do, really can't ask for too much more out of it. As far as the installation goes, it's pretty universal. So you are going to have to do some drilling, some cutting, things of that nature. You're going to have to think a little bit and how you want to position it and everything else. So what I did, we'll go through the install together. What I did was try to figure all that stuff out kind of beforehand and kind of explain to you how I came up to that conclusion. And you know, I figured it would kind of streamline things a little bit and just make more sense instead of, you know, dragging you guys along, watching me cut one piece or drill one hole and just constantly do that. So hopefully it all works out. If you're looking for a little bit of guidance getting this installed, stick around. We'll go ahead and do that together now. To begin your installation, you're going to be here at the back of your camper. And right now you can just ignore these two posts. We'll get to that in a minute. What I've done is kind of started with this. Just because this is one of these deals where it's kind of universal and every camper is going to be set up a little bit different. So my logic was kind of have this figured out and kind of understand the steps. That way I could better elaborate to you guys what we kind of have going on. I feel like it would just make a little bit more sense because this is one of these deals where you're going to have to cut and measure and kind of go back and do it again and so on. So hopefully this will kind of streamline things. But first and foremost, before you even worry about getting the ladder up, is you need to make sure that you have studs here at the back of your camper. So you can use a stud finder to locate those studs. Sometimes it's kind of finicky. You can try to reach out to your camper's manufacturer. They might be able to provide you with that information. Some of them say it's proprietary and they won't give it up to you, but it kind of just says what it is. But we need something good to secure the ladder into, right? If you just screw it into the back here, you're kind of rolling the dice. Chances are pretty good if you try to walk up on it, you're gonna go for a ride. But with that said, we found some studs. So I have one here and one here. Generally speaking, on the corners, you're gonna have some supportive material. And you need to make sure that they're 12 inches apart. So the width of our ladder is roughly 1 foot. And, you know, give or take a little bit depending on how you spin the brackets that actually bolt to it. But regardless, you need to make sure that you have something solid to drill into. With that said, once you do that, you know, it's not a bad idea. What I've done is kind of just put a couple marks down along the way, kind of give you a good idea of something to work off of. With that said, now we can start to actually build our ladder. So we want to roughly assemble our ladder. That way we can kind of eyeball it, figure out the length that we need to make it, kind of how it's going to sit and everything else. So you want to take your top pieces, these little hooked arm deals. All right. On the bottom, you're going to have these, I guess you'd call them shoes, feet. Just nut and bolt them, again, loosely. And then up here, so you're going to have a top piece of your ladder, or middle section, I guess you could call it. One of the ends is going to be beveled down and smaller, so it'll plug into your hooked arms. And you'll plug those in. And again, just a nut and a bolt. Then if we move our way down, all right, you're going to have these deals here that allow everything to pivot. And check your instructions too. This is going to, you're going to use these differently if you happen to have like a curved, if your back of your camper's curved, ours is straight. But what the deal is the end of this bottom section and the end of this middle section, you're going to have to cut those arms, right? So originally they're super long, and it would give you, you know, like, you know, and make your step like 2 foot apart probably. But what you can do, what I did is just kind of run them up like this. Don't even worry about this yet. Just tape them together, okay? And then once you have everything roughly like this, how you think you would want it, what we want to do is hold it up against the back of our camper and see if you need to make any changes or anything like that. So you want to set this on the back of your camper. And again, this is just a rough, you know, a rough estimate what we got going on here. So, you know, what you're looking for is placement, more or less. So with the arm sitting flat on the roof, you know, you want this to fall in an area that makes sense. Okay, you obviously don't want the steps here to block your light, block your plate, anything like that. And you also don't want, you know, like we talked about up here, you don't want a step that's going to be, you know, 2.5 foot, 3 feet apart from the next rung, it's going to kind of defeat the purpose of the ladder. And so you want to find a happy medium. I feel like right here, we did that. And so find a happy medium, what you're happy with, and that's going to determine how much material you want to cut out of here. And so what I did is I split the difference for these steps, right? So in our case, I measured down from this rung 5 1/8 of an inch. And keep in mind too, you got to account for these that are going to go in between there. I believe these are 1 3/4 inches. So I measured down 5 1/8, 5 1/8, cut that. This is just aluminum, so I used a Sawzall. You can use a lot of different tools to cut though. Same deal here on the bottom, all right? And, you know, doing the math, whenever you add this in, this piece, that's going to equate for about 1 foot. So it's actually pretty close to the rest of these steps here and definitely manageable. And so, you know, once we find that and get that cut, we can get these installed. So I'll pull this down, take a better look at it. So once you have that cut, you can get these deals installed, all right? And the outer diameter of these pieces are going to be smaller than that of the pipe. So you can slide the pipe over the ends, all right? And you want to make sure they're positioned like this. That way, if you put them the other way, you know, if this bolt loosens up, the ladder can fold up on itself like a taco, and you don't want to do that. So get them straight, tighten these down, all right? And then squeeze it as tight as you can. You're going to have to drill holes. So use I believe it was a 3/16 drill bit, straight as you can. Run it through the ladder, through this piece, and out the back. You're going to do that for all 4 sides, okay? And then you can finally connect this lower section by using these provided nuts and bolts. So that's really all there is to it there. I do want to mention too, make sure that you got all the pieces lined up correctly. And so what I mean by that is there is a front and a back side to the ladder. So if you look at the steps on the back of them, you're going to see, you know, some little divvies there. It looks like they're roll pins installed. And you want that to be facing, you know, you want that to be on the back side of the ladder. So just make sure all that lines up the best for, you know, the best results. From there, you want to position these guys here. And what these are going to do, this portion's going to bolt, you know, to your camper. And it's going to go to the ladder and help support it. So you'll obviously have one on each side of the ladder for a total of 4. So some at the bottom, 2 up towards the top. Reference your instructions. I do give you a measurement. I believe it's 8 to 10 inches from this thing. So you go from there to there. I ran mine at 10. Just seemed like it made the most sense. But you're going to take your drill and drill a hole straight through as best as you possibly can. And what I like to do, or what I did rather, is take these, all right, in this bolt and just loosely get it on there. So just run it hand tight, and you'll do that for all of them. Okay, so you got this one here, this one there. We'll get to that in a minute. But then you can run your top ones, okay? And again, there's another measurement. You measure from there to there. Do it where it makes the most sense. All right, so get those drilled out. And then just like we did that other one, get them on there hand tight. So the reason that we put these on here hand tight is so that we can set the ladder up here and determine the location of where we need to bolt these things up. That's why I already had a couple of these on here to make sure that it was the right thing to do and actually worked for you guys. So with that said, you know, to me, it was the smartest thing to work off of the corner here. And so all I did was use a constant. So I went about 1/4 inch here. I just took a ballpoint pen, actually, laid that up, to make sure that it was even, and then I just used a marker to make some dots. So this bottom one's a good example here. All right, so you can see there's some dots there, and I held this up, put my ballpoint pen there as a constant, and made some marks, and I did that for this whole side. And as long as this side's straight, that'll translate over to this side, and we don't have to try to measure both sides, and it just leaves a lot of room for error. And so what I did, once I had those marks, I pulled our ladder back off and used a real small drill bit just to pre-drill some holes, okay? And then once those holes were pre-drilled, what I did was just take these off, okay? And I put on some butyl tape, some sealing tape on these flanges, which I'll show you that in a minute. Held everything up, lined it up, and then used the provided screws to screw all them in. And so these are going to be connected, and what that's going to allow us to do is take our ladder, all right, and get these back hand tight. And once they're hand tight, that'll allow us to determine the location for these. So get them hand tight, determine these locations, mark them, take the ladder, undo it, take it back off, get these pre-drilled out, and get these side of the brackets connected. And once those are connected, then we can put our ladder up and actually bolt it in place. And then the only thing we'll have to worry about is getting the very, very top secured. So we got the ladder, loosely secured to these posts like we talked about. That determined where these are going to go. So I held them up where I wanted, try to, do your best to make sure it's level and everything else. And take these, hold them flat. Use your pen to mark the spots for all of them. And once all them spots are marked, now I can take these back out, pull our ladder off, get it out of the way, and pre-drill them holes and get these secured. Once you have all your holes pre-drilled, you can get these outrights installed, right? And so anything that, any attachment points that we're going to use to run screws or anything like that, you want to make sure that it's sealed underneath. And so I'm using butyl tape. You can grab this here at etrailer, and it's just real tacky tape. And so I stuck it on there, kind of made it look as best I could. And then I take my screws and just start to thread them through. That way I get sealer on the screws as well. And once you have all 4 of them through there, this is what I found works best. You can line it up and with your holes there and start to screw these down. I like to kind of get a few threads going, move over to the next one, and just kind of go in a crisscross pattern just to help kind of pull everything in evenly. That way it pulls down flush. Once you have it secured, a lot of times if that butyl tape comes poking out of the sides, you can kind of just take your finger and, run around the edges and kind of pull some of that extra off and clean up the install look a little bit. And then up at the very top, you're going to have these little feet, okay? And you want to put your butyl tape on the bottom of those. Loosely get it into position. Use your screws to screw down into the roof to secure them, and then you can take your machine screw and actually, connect the handle portion to that foot and tighten that down. And once that's tight, that's the very last thing you're gonna tighten down on this ladder. Once that is all tight, your ladder will be secured. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Stromberg Carlson aluminum ladder on our 2021 Keystone Cougar.